Okay, so I'm going to kick things off since we are at the hour, and I'll just allow everyone else to sort of trickle in on their own time. And yeah, so let's get started. So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your busy days, I'm sure, to join us. We have an action-packed webinar today on a hot topic that I know a lot of you are keen to learn more about. So I hope you can take something away from it today. And yeah, so today we're going to be talking about top marketing strategies subscription businesses should be leveraging to grow subscribers. Okay, so just a quick note that this webinar is being recorded. So I will be sending out a recording to all that registered. In case you have any of your colleagues that registered but wasn't able to make it, you can assure them that there will be an email made available to them after this webinar. So I would also like to encourage you to type any questions you have at any time into the chat box, and we'll be sure to get to them at the very end. I also have my co-host here, Andrew Morris, who is the Director of Client Relations, and he's going to be helping me with some of these questions at the end. So if you want to say hello, Andrew, feel free.
Yeah, great to be here and excited to be a part of this webinar.
All right. I'll just introduce myself. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm the marketing director here at Pelcro. So I'm fairly new to Pelcro as a company, but I'm not new to the industry. I've been in tech marketing for over 10 years now, so nearly a decade, which is absolutely wild to imagine, but I specialize in lead generation and brand management, and I'm really excited to share some of the best practices that I've learned along the way. So today's agenda. So today we have a really great action-packed webinar, as I said. So we're going to be talking about, firstly, the importance of marketing lists, then how to leverage newsletters to grow your list, how to create high-converting lead magnets, how to do discounts and promotion strategies effectively, email marketing best practices, social media planning tips, paid advertising secrets, why you should partner with influencers if you aren't already, and a question period, as I promised at the very end. So just a little bit about state of the market right now. So I don't know if many of you are aware, but subscription businesses are on the rise and are at an all-time high. So according to a study, I found that subscription-based businesses grew nearly 9 times faster than firms at the S&P 500 index over the past 10-year period. So from around 2012 to 2020, which is absolutely wild. I see one of you raised your hand, so just type your question into the question box and we'll be sure to get to that at the end. So with the subscription economy at an all-time high, this means, of course, that there's no shortage of options. So consumers are overwhelmed with choices. Companies are forced to focus greater efforts than ever before on building stronger and longer lasting relationships with their clients and prospects. So this involves putting customers first and not only meeting, but surpassing customer expectations and assumptions. And some of those assumptions involve a seamless, modern, hassle-free sign-up experience, communication that is timely and accurate, flexibility in payment options, content that is highly personalized, as well as sustainable options, which includes digital invoices, receipts, and paperless interactions. So where Pelcro comes in is it's truly an easy solution to help you achieve that modern, hassle-free sign-up experience. So Pelcro is an all-in-one subscription and membership management platform where you can leverage out-of-the-box user flows for authentication, authorization, payments, shipping, and so much more. So before we get started, let's do a quick poll so I can learn a little bit about all of you. Let's launch it. Okay, so the question is, what is your level of experience with inbound marketing for subscription businesses? I'll just allow you to self-assess, give you a couple of seconds to answer. Perfect. Nice. Okay, well, I see that everyone is being quite modest and nobody has rated themselves in the advanced category, which is fine. This is why we're here. We're learning more about marketing. We have 73% of you that are saying you're in the beginner category and 27, which is intermediate. So I hope you'll get something away from today's webinar. Okay, let's continue. So first, let's dive into marketing lists. So I'm going to say this loud for the people in the back that your email list is one of your most valuable assets you can have in your business, period. So your email list should never be stagnant. You should always be looking for ways to grow your list. And that is the primary goal of inbound marketing. So the best way to grow your list organically, I found, is through newsletter signups, lead magnets, and discount and promotion strategies. So I'm going to be diving into those next. So newsletter signups. Okay, so newsletter signups is a very common way to collect emails, and you may or may not be already doing so on your website. So for those that don't know, a newsletter signup is an email in exchange for a daily, weekly, or monthly newsletter. So for some companies, you may have multiple newsletters, especially for publications. You may have the capacity, if you have the capacity to do this, it's a great idea. So based on what your contact signs up for, it's going to give you a lot of insight into their interests, lifestyles, and this is really going to help you to tailor segmented offers to these different groups. Okay, so a creative approach that we've seen by one of our customers do actually is L'Actualité, which is a French publication here in Montreal. So they've actually implemented a newsletter paywall where they are offering 2 more free articles in exchange for an email. So with Pelcro platform, you can easily set this up. Okay, so let's launch another poll. So I'm curious, how many of you are currently using a newsletter paywall? Okay. Perfect. I'll give you another second to answer. Awesome. I love these polls because it's so interactive. Okay, so as we can see, almost 73% of you are not using them, but you think it looks interesting. And a few of you are using them and they are working well. And I see that there's 13% that they are using it, but there is room for improvement. So that's very interesting. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so lead magnets, my absolute favorite item within marketing because I believe they are so powerful. So a lead magnet, in order to grow your email list, I think it's so important to be able to learn how to create a killer lead magnet. So a lead magnet is essentially a piece of content that you gift to a prospect in exchange for their email address. So I want you to remember that quality matters. You can't just be putting anything out there and expect to get a positive return. So there needs to be a takeaway, learnings, something that people can apply right away. So every lead magnet as a standard should solve a problem or answer a pressing question, create desire, and ultimately sell. So here are a few examples to sort of get the wheels turning for ideas. So in this first example, we can see from a travel publication where they're offering a free New Orleans visitor guide in exchange for an email. The second example is my favorite because I am a dog owner, of course. So it is a dog magazine that's offering a free training workshop in exchange for email. And I thought the interesting thing to note here was that they were asking for your dog's name within the form field. So it's not adding too many extra fields, but it is adding an extra element of personalization. So think about the possibilities here that you can use for your marketing emails in terms of personalization. So another example might be, say, if you are a finance-focused website, you may want to put out a report. And one idea is to have a pop-up come up on your homepage to advertise the download of this report. A second example, which I love, I find myself doing online quizzes all the time. I just find them entertaining. And sort of the goal of that is to encourage prospects to participate in a quiz. And before completing the quiz, they're asked to enter their email to see the results. So they're already committed, they filled out the quiz, and now the last step is just to receive the results. So I find this quite effective. So discounts and promotions. Okay, so discounts and promotions really incentivize signups, but instead of the classic 20% off discount that we always see, I would recommend for a subscription business, especially, to do something like first month free. So this is really powerful as it really helps to get your prospects' foot in the door. Because if you have auto renewal turned on for your subscriptions, you're going to see this decreases chances of churn significantly. So another great idea, as we can see here, is to do a referral program. So this is where people can refer friends and family, and also adding an added benefit to the referral as well. Okay, email marketing, another one of my favorites. So a few best practice tips for email marketing is to segment your lists. So make sure you're sending the right message to the right people at the right time. Personalized communication, so every customer and prospect is unique, and it's your job to make them feel that way. A/B testing, I can't recommend this enough, to test and track metrics that matter to you so that you can apply and optimize. Okay, so segmented lists, as I mentioned, so this is where you're going to be able to nurture campaigns that are highly targeted by segmenting them into different groups. And I'm also going to encourage you to engage with current customers as often as prospects and leads. Okay, so personalization. So personalization is huge. Ultimately, I think everyone wants to feel unique, and they want to feel like the conversation is one-to-one as opposed to one-to-many. So one-to-many is very an old style of marketing, and it just no longer works, and it's just a standard in today's marketing best practices to be one-to-one. So studies show that 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase from a retailer that sends personal content. Personalization ultimately attracts loyalty. Okay, so here are a few personalization ideas that you can use for your email marketing strategies. So one idea might be in the newsletter example that I was saying before. If you have multiple newsletters, you might be able to use this to inspire different segments. So to recommend new offerings based on things that they signed up for or based on past purchases. So another effective marketing strategy is to retarget abandoned carts. So this may or may not be relevant for your industry, but just an idea. Okay, so an important thing to note is that you're also going to want to make sure that your ESP, which stands for Email Service Provider, so like MailChimp, SendGrid, HubSpot, integrates with your other softwares. So making sure they're speaking to your subscription and membership software so that all the contact information is the same, it's up to date, so that you're sending all of the right relevant emails to all of the right people. So it's really important that they talk to each other. And I just want to note that Pelcro is fully integrated with HubSpot, MailChimp, Klaviyo, and Pardot. So just to keep in mind. Okay, so paywall personalization. So personalization is not only important for your marketing emails, but also for your paywalls. So you're going to have a higher conversion rate if you're not only showing your audiences offerings that are relevant, if you're showing offerings that are relevant to them. So in the case example of Freeze right here, so they're showing an event pass tickets for purchase for UK audiences only because it is a UK-based event. So you can see the difference of screenshots that will pop up if you are in UK, or if you're anywhere else in the rest of the world, you will not see that event option. And for L'Actualité, another example is a country dropdown so that you can get accurate pricing information. Okay, so A/B testing, as I mentioned, it is such a powerful tool to have in your toolkit. Now, if you don't already know, it's a user experience research methodology. So A/B testing consists of randomized experiments between two variants, A and B. So in this example, it's a screenshot of HubSpot's A/B testing that you can use to automatically select a winner based on a chosen metric. So whether that be open rate or click rate, and the duration is of your choosing as well. So it might be 4 hours running until a winner is chosen. Perfect. So this is just a few examples of what not to do. So realize his assumptions are wrong and tell his team to keep building anyway. Or maybe I could try marketing. That's just liquor and guessing. So this is obviously the complete wrong approach. Knowledge is truly power, and I want to make sure that you are applying what you learn from your tests to continue optimizing and avoiding the same mistakes. So in this day and age, marketing is truly no longer guesswork. Everything is tracked and can therefore be optimized. So there's truly no excuse to be repeating any mistakes in marketing. Social media. Okay, so just a few best practice tips. So I recommend to post daily on at least one platform, to develop content pillars, to create a social media calendar. And we can see to the right here are a few examples of content pillars that you might choose. There are essentially types of content that your audiences can expect to see on a regular basis. So hashtags. So using the right hashtags are a great idea because it sort of shows that you're in tune with current trends and allows you to take part in conversations that matter. So they can also help you to connect with people around shared interests. However, it's important to note that every platform uses hashtags differently, and not everybody knows this. But so Twitter, I would recommend using only 2 to 3 short hashtags. It's the best approach, just because it has a limited character count, and you're going to want to leave room for links, commentary, and @ mentions. So on Pinterest, the hashtag is actually clickable, but Pinterest has said that hashtag overuse can result in your content being demoted on search results. So don't go too crazy with your hashtags on Pinterest. So for Facebook, I would say you don't really need them, but the best case scenario would be to use them for branded campaigns that are running across social media platforms. So Instagram, on the other hand, is a hashtagger's paradise because you can use up to 30 hashtags, which help people find your photos based on hashtags they are following. So it's a great place to experiment with hashtags. Okay, so social media calendar. So here's an example of a social media calendar, and I would recommend using tools like Asana or Trello to plan your posts for the next month or quarter at a time. Paid advertising. Okay, so here are just some common mistakes that I see all the time. One being messaging that's just too general and not targeted. When paid ads are directed to the home page, basically, you're just sort of dropping them off and not really guiding them to a call to action or a form, kind of a wasted opportunity there. So, and also when ads are not designed for lead gen. So if you're not directing them to a form right away, again, a missed opportunity. So some solutions here is to create highly targeted campaigns by, again, segmenting audiences, creating unique campaigns to tailor to these different audience groups. So each campaign should have a dedicated landing page. So not just dropping to the home page, a dedicated landing page for each with a clear, bold call to action. And create and leverage your lead magnets on your ads as well. So like ebooks, case studies, webinars can all be advertised here. Okay, so just a quick note on paid advertising platforms and who we're going to be targeting here when we're advertising. So LinkedIn, as we know, it's great for business to business. No surprise there. Twitter, great for B2C or retargeting. Facebook ads, great for B2C or retargeting. Instagram ads, great for B2C. Google AdWords, great for SEO and brand recognition. Pinterest, B2C. TikTok, B2C, and for a younger audience, Gen Z primarily. Landing pages. Okay, so here are a few landing page best practices that I will always recommend. One is to have a form, of course, and a bold call to action. And something that a lot of people sort of forget or don't realize the importance of is having a thank you page. So oftentimes when people have a form, it might just say, thank you for submitting the form, or you're registered, something like that. But I would recommend to send them to a whole new other page altogether, which is called a thank you page, where you can let them know about an email that's on its way or to confirm they're registered. And also there's added space to showcase another relevant offer, which is incredibly powerful. Okay, so why you should use landing pages. So landing pages lead to increased conversions. As I mentioned, most companies just send traffic directly to the homepage. Landing pages provide additional insights into your target audience. So by creating metrics there. So landing pages also, as I mentioned, lead to qualified leads. So while it may be tempting to buy lists, it isn't recommended, and it will reduce the quality of your lists at the end of the day. So according to a HubSpot study, companies with 10 to 15 landing pages increase their number of leads by 55%. So that is huge. So influencers, this might be something that you hadn't have thought of yet, or maybe you thought of it just for B2C products. But I assure you there are influencers of all kinds for all industries, and it is truly the way the market is going. And it's just truly an opportunity to impact the market at scale, because the question always remains, how do you impact culture in a meaningful way? And if it's always coming from your voice, is it trusted and is it trustworthy, especially as an emerging brand? So this is truly a way to do it at scale. However, I would recommend, taking your time before choosing an influencer, making sure that this is the right type of person, someone that would be reading my content if you are a publication, or somebody with a huge following that is already a lot of your target demographic. So really powerful strategy here if you're willing to experiment with it. Okay, so after the conversion, so now that you've done all this work to get people to subscribe, what happens after the conversion? So for those in the subscription business, that managing subscriber data definitely comes with its challenges. But this is why our goal at Pelcro is to make sure it's as easy as possible to create, not only that modern self-serve user experience for your customers, but also to have all the right tools in place to manage your subscription business as well. So a really powerful tool to have in your back pocket for subscription and membership businesses. And I'm going to jump to a poll question. So I'm just curious if anybody's actually interested in learning more about Pelcro. Some of you might already be with us on the call, but some of you might be interested to learn a little bit more. I didn't get into too much detail So we can always schedule a call at a different time to learn more about the platform. Okay, great. And while you're filling that out, let's take a look at if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I think there's a question that came in, Madison, about the use of the paywall itself. It's a little bit more Pelcro focused.
Sure.
Definitely happy to answer that. I think it might be best to leave it at the end though. But at this point, I guess if there are any more questions, I think we're getting to that part of the presentation. So definitely feel free to send them in, and we'll try to answer as many as possible.
Exactly.
They don't have to be Pelcro focused at all. They can be marketing related, paywall related, whatever's going to be most useful to you.
Exactly.
Perfect. So I guess we can start answering this last question, or this first question coming in here. So regarding paywall pop-ups, so again, I'll try to make this a little bit more general as well. So the questions revolved around using paywall pop-ups and blocking the content versus showing some content in the beginning, more of like an inline paywall for new readers and sharing it. And that specifically talks about Pelcro's use case of the modular views. So there's really two ways to kind of create a paywall experience, or the sign up registration experience in general. We're kind of using the word paywall here simultaneously. But essentially, the two main ways are to either have it built into the page itself or to have it be more modular. So the idea in this case is that there's a give and take between both. If you have it be more modular, you can go through the entire process without ever leaving the page, right? So a user can sign up, subscribe, make a payment, fill in their additional information without ever leaving the page. And that's what Pelcro opts to do from an out-of-the-box solution, to make it as easy as possible and focus on the user experience. That being said, of course, you can get more customized, where you have an inline paywall with some text hidden that appears in the beginning as kind of more of an inline solution. So both options are available. Which is better is going to depend on your use case and your business. And I'm definitely happy to kind of answer specific questions on that as well. So I hope that answers that question. I'll reach out to you as well for all of the specific Pelcro details to make sure we just don't take up everyone's time on that. I think we have two more questions as well. So thoughts on converting an email newsletter that's currently free to a sign-up version, so like a paid version. So for this one specifically as well, we see this a lot in terms of going from free to paid in general can be a challenge if you're introducing a paywall for the first time, or a paid version for the first time. Usually what we've seen, or what I'd recommend, is thinking about creating a new email list and using that email list as your kind of lead magnet. I don't know if you have any different thoughts on that, Madison, but I think it can be a challenge to just simply convert it and get them to start paying for it. We were just speaking about different ways of applying content and showing content in one sense, and limiting the content in the free one, for example, and then using that to encourage them to go through a different funnel.
Yeah, exactly. I think a free newsletter, ultimately is always going to be a good way to just build your list, and you can ultimately nurture them from there into a paying customer. So it's sort of a slower process, but I think it is effective. Or having the newsletter paywall is a great option, so you are getting them to interact with a few more pieces of content. You're teasing them a little bit more, they're hungry for more, and eventually they're going to convert as a subscriber. But I think keeping the newsletter free is a good idea. Or another option is to have a different type of newsletter. So you can have a free newsletter and a paid newsletter, and the paid newsletter can have added advantages. Maybe there's more premium content in that newsletter. So just an option.
Absolutely. And I think we have a few more questions, but one of which, just staying on the same path of newsletters, and then we'll talk more about the user experience. Tips on nurturing people in terms of free newsletters to become subscribers to the site. So I think this is kind of along the same lines here of nurturing users from free to actually subscribe. So I think, Madison, this fits in more to your, again, lead magnet process. Any suggestions or recommendations, I guess, in terms of this could be number of emails sent or different strategies and techniques used to get them to subscribe, even though it's a free newsletter. I think in this case, it's more subscribe to the website itself as well.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get people to sign up for your newsletter, this is just the first step. When we're thinking about the funnel, right? This is the top of the funnel. So our goal is to slowly convert them down the funnel. So what you're going to want to do is nurture them and start sending them content that, as you see that they are engaging with your content. So first you're going to start with the newsletter. Then you're going to start introducing things like case studies or blogs based on things that they've already clicked on or signed up for or downloaded. Then you might take them to later stage of the funnel content, such as case studies or a free trial, things like that. So there's ways that you can nurture them slowly by introducing them in your email drip campaigns, email nurturing campaigns. So it's not just about signing them up for the newsletter. Once you have their email, you have to check based on your country's spam permissions. But most, if you are selecting that you can send me email promotions, you can start to share some of your case studies and some of your other lead magnets with them as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And on the same note of newsletters, this is usually a challenge as well in terms of where to provide the content, especially when you're sending out a lot of content and your goal is to get them to your website. Definitely keep in mind that, especially for paid newsletters, if you're having two separate ones, the goal is not necessarily anymore to send them back to your website. If they're a paid newsletter, make sure you give them the content directly there, right? Because it becomes about, when they're a subscriber, it's about the relationship with the brand as a whole, regardless of whether they're on the website or not. So definitely feel free to also send more information in the paid one and make that very clear, the difference between them. Mm-hmm. Perfect. So I hope that answered those questions regarding newsletters. Let us know if you have any more. I think there's another question as well about the impact of speed and seamless experience for registration rates. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a very important question as well, because one of the most important things, I think, Madison, you had mentioned it in the beginning, right? Part of the consumer trend is a seamless user experience. And as users, and we all face this now, we're very used to seamless subscription experiences, fast subscription experiences, focused in terms of the number of fields and the data that's being entered. And users are, have that expectation for everything and everywhere that they go now. Obviously, drop-off rates can be quite dramatic if you're sending people off of different pages completely and kind of forcing them down that experience. And I think, Madison, you were kind of speaking about other strategies in terms of landing pages. So sending people from advertising, from paid ads and otherwise, to landing pages to kind of specialize that messaging. But that's also a different experience from if they're reading your content or if they're ready to make a purchase or ready to kind of interact with you on that level. They shouldn't leave the page, right? They should be able to do everything directly from there, unless you need them for one specific reason or the other. They should be able to register, make a payment, and ideally pay through a Google Pay or an Apple Pay if they can. Again, the faster you can get them through that process, because always remember, your users, your customers aren't there to fill out a form or give you their email. They're there to get the value they want from you, right? And the value you provide, whether it's content, a subscription product, or otherwise. So the faster you can get them through that process, the less tedious of a process or the less work you're putting on the user.
Exactly. Yeah. Think about it, like yourself, I think internet browsers have an incredibly low attention span, as you might know from yourself. If I'm not sold on a landing page, you know, within the first 10 seconds, I'm gone. So the message needs to catch me right away. The same thing is you're going to lose me on a landing page if you have too many form fields. You know, if there's 10 form fields that I have to fill out, you know, I don't have time for that. You know, I'm going to fill out my email, first name, last name, and that's about it. So there's a lot of things that you can do to speed up the process. And like Andrew was saying, keeping them on the same page. So Pelgro allows you to just keep that entire process of signing up or subscribing and paying all on the same page, which is, I think, a really powerful tool when you're trying to convert them as fast as possible. So yeah.
Absolutely. And let us know if there's any more questions on that note as well, to kind of mention it, is the branding of it, Madison. I think that's one thing we haven't spoken maybe enough about here, but also having the branding of these landing pages, or if you're going to send a user to a subdomain for whatever reason, you know, how important would you say the branding is to kind of having it match to the actual conversion rates?
Yeah, that's huge, right? I think ultimately a consistency of brand creates trust, right? So if you go to a website where the branding seems to be inconsistent, to me, my mind goes, oh, this is a new customer, and is it trustworthy, right? So nobody's putting their credit card down for a company that doesn't seem trustworthy. So your brand experience, it might just seem initially like it's pretty pictures. It's so much more powerful than that. So consistent brand experience, I can't stress it enough.
Absolutely. And we've definitely seen that in our cases and a lot of our examples as well, even when clients like to use landing pages to perhaps you know, send people off of the page if they want to learn more. It's a good opportunity to show value props. It's a good opportunity to, I think, you know, you kind of mentioned it, for branding, it's trust, right? And you're building trust in many different ways. So some of it can be in the way you're kind of speaking about your value, or the influencers, or mentioning the people behind what you're offering, right? Whether it's the executive team, the publisher, the influencer, the whoever it is, that kind of exudes trust in the company as well, other than the value itself. Case studies are relevant. So I think that's also an important point, is how you can brand with trust in mind.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. So if there are no more questions, we can keep it at that. A big thank you to you, Madison, for hosting all of this today, and for the content. And a thank you to everyone for joining. It's my pleasure as well being a part of this, and hopefully one of many more webinars to come with some helpful information.
Yes. Thank you so much.